again. And, I got to be honest with you. There's more good that comes from that for the game of hockey than any kind of bad. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. Comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer up daily shots of Steelers and Pirates right where you found this. Tampa Bay beat Montreal in Game 5 last night, 1-0 in Tampa at Amalie Arena. And the celebration that followed, it kind of felt like the hockey gods' version of a makeup call for nobody on that team or nobody really around that team being able to celebrate the championship that was won last year in the bubble in Edmonton. Just a great set of scenes coming across the broadcast waves all across the continent. Good stuff. Genuinely good people from my interactions with them. In particular, Steven Stamkos. Obviously been through a lot in his career. Nikita Kucherov coming back from a couple major injuries to have back-to-back 30-point playoffs and still not win the Conn Smythe because that went to Andrei Vasilevsky. And out of those two guys, the actual best player might still be Victor Hedman, the best defenseman in hockey. It's a good, pure collection of talent. And yes, I can feel you cringing when I say pure because Julien Brisebois, their general manager, absolutely, undeniably circumvented the NHL's salary cap to pull this off. They did go $18 million over, but they did so within the rules established by the Garage League. And for that, there is only the Garage League to blame. A week ago, Gary Bettman and Bill Daly sat together when they were asked about the Lightning being over the cap, and their entire defense of it was, well, nobody'd really thought of this before, so, we got away with it from 2004 until now, so it's a good system. No, it's not. No, it's not. Both of those guys have law experience. They know that loopholes are going to be found, and it's up to the governing entity to make sure that they aren't there. Be very, very sure that this will be addressed between now and next season. It's going to require the cooperation of the NHL Players Association because anything cap-based does, but it has to get done. It has to get done. You can't have this occur again. And at the same time, look, the game's won on the ice. The game's lost on the ice. The players themselves had absolutely nothing to do with it, neither did John Cooper or his staff. They went out and they won games against good hockey teams. The one debate out of this that really does nothing for me is who's better, Lightning or Penguins, meaning these back-to-back Tampa Bay champions or the back-to-back Pittsburgh champions from just a few years ago, mostly because, and I hate to say this, and don't throw your phone across the room when you hear this, but there's something special about winning in a pandemic. There always will be. These teams in all of professional sports, and let's not forget that a bunch of them are based in that same city, the ones that pulled this off, that had to go through all the extraordinary measures and had to be so rigidly disciplined, not just on the fields or courts or rinks, but also in their personal lives to pull this off. If you've heard or read any of the stories that have been told, in particular about the Lightning and the Stars last year in the bubble in Edmonton, and some of the psychological impact that had on players from both of those teams, being basically just stuck in a greenhouse for 2 months to play the highest stakes hockey of their lives, to take to the ice for a clinching Stanley Cup game in front of a 100% empty building, and then to raise the cup in that empty building with nothing other than a couple of pyrotechnics and lighting effects going off. That's different. And then to come back and win it again the next year, yeah, if you really force me to partake in this debate, you won't like the answer. But that also is in no way, shape, or form a criticism of those Penguins, since we're all glad they didn't have a pandemic to deal with. This portion of Daily Shot of Penguins is brought to you by Fubo TV. Monthly cost of cable is over $200. Fubo TV is $65 a month to watch all the same channels, including AT&T Sportsnet Pittsburgh. And right now, Fubo TV is offering our listeners to this show a 7-day free trial and 15% off your first month by visiting FuboTV.com/DK. That's FuboTV.com/DK. And all of this said, I'm sad. I get sad when hockey ends. Like, I love watching the Cup presentations, and not just because Bettman's getting booed. There's not a trophy like the Stanley Cup in sports. There's not a ritual like the passing of the cup anywhere in sports. It's unmatched, even on the global scale. And to see these extraordinary athletes celebrate in a way that embraces the trophy, that respects the game that they're playing, even with the post-game handshakes, that respects the opponent that you just faced. If you saw the extended exchanges between Vasilevsky and Carey Price, between Hedman and Shea Weber, position to position, you understand that there's something more to this brotherhood that exists in hockey. Don't get me wrong. There's a handful of teams I'll be happy to never, ever see partake in this particular thing. But seeing it from the Lightning after what they went through last year to win the Cup, they and the Stars, again, respecting the opponent, and then to see them come back in a field where, let's be honest, not everybody saw them as the clear favorite, despite their massive cap advantage. I picked Colorado. Colorado didn't make it past the second round. After that, I thought it would be Vegas, because Vegas was the team that beat Colorado, and Vegas was supposed to have the easy route now to the final. The Canadiens had other ideas about that. And meanwhile, what the Lightning did was just continue to take care of business each step of the way. Every challenge they faced, they put it down with whatever was needed. They actually kind of reminded me in that regard to the original Pittsburgh back-to-back champions. Those guys, Kevin Stevens, Mario Lemieux, obviously, and all the rest, would talk a lot about how we could win any way we needed to. If we needed to win a game 6-5, we would do it. If we needed to win a game 1-0, which the Penguins did over the Blackhawks in Game 3 out in Chicago, that's what they did. The Lightning ran into a really, really, really determined opponent in Montreal, and they won this game after losing the first one by a score of 1-0. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Congratulations to everybody except Julien Brisebois and anybody who cooperated in the cap circumvention. I thought I was going to be nice. I didn't pull it off. When we come back, just one question. Back. It's time for Just One Question, and that's brought to you always on this program by the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank, where they are recommitted to providing food for all of our neighbors in need across Western Pennsylvania. And if you want to know what that means, you'll have to find out about their rebranding. Visit pittsburghfoodbank.org. Today's question comes from MT Jet, who asks, watching the Stanley Cup get celebrated, DK, and I have a question. How many cups until you consider it a dynasty? Well, the easy answer to that is that there aren't dynasties anymore in sports. The cap that the Lightning circumvented is evidence of that. In fact, the Lightning needing to circumvent the cap is evidence of that. You're just not going to see, I believe, any team in sports pull off 3, 4 championships in a row. Even in Major League Baseball, where the Dodgers are now swimming in obscene amounts of cash that they aren't sharing with the rest of Major League Baseball, and they can put together pretty much a payroll of their choosing. Baseball itself is too fickle, meaning you're too dependent on pitching performances, and pitching performances are too dependent on health of an arm from year to year. That's the reason baseball, even without a cap, doesn't have a team, whether it's the Dodgers or the Yankees or Red Sox, whoever, spending $1 zillion. You don't see them having a team that just runs away with it for long stretches. Although the people in baseball who don't want to have a cap point erroneously, I think, to these alternating titles as evidence that you don't need a cap, which is, of course, ridiculous and unfair. In hockey, your answer is 2, because that's now the bar. That's what we're looking at. In the cap era, from 2004 onward, there had been only one franchise that had gone back-to-back, and even then, the Penguins needed to do so much extra to pull it off. That team was so banged up. I remember asking guys on the ice in Nashville, only after, congratulating them and asking them real hockey questions, like, what actually was hurt on you? And it'd be like, well, this bone over here was broken, and this and that, and Alex Killorn, by the way, from the Lightning last night after the game, revealed that he actually had a fractured tibia, literally a broken leg, and had a rod placed in it last week in hopes of somehow returning for one of these games in this series. It's so hockey. It's so hockey. The Penguins and what they did was remarkable. It's now been matched. If you're going to put an asterisk next to the Lightning in any capacity, let it be because this group of players found a way to win in the worst possible setting, meaning this pandemic that affected us all. One more time, congratulations to the Bolts. I appreciate the question, MT. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. And beginning with tomorrow's show, and we can't talk about actual hockey anymore. This is no fun. It's going to be all expansion draft and whatever else here. Whatever. We'll go on with it. Stay with me. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to our DK Pittsburgh Sports channel, and don't forget to hit the bell to get notified every time we post a new video or podcast.